Alhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. Dear brothers and sisters, today inshallah we want to continue again with chapter 28 and the story of Moses and the plenty of reflections and lessons we need to understand and apply them in our lives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in verse number 14 is saying وَكَذَلِكَ نَجْزِيَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Those who are excel, they're doing good, Allah will give them better and better and better. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, He gave Moses the knowledge. He gave them the wisdom. Brothers and sisters, why Moses have gotten those? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have rewarded him. And He said, he is from the one who excelled. Moses still is not a messenger yet. Moses is still not a prophet yet. Moses is still not somebody who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have talked to him yet. Kalimullah. But what's happening here? This is a lesson for all of us brothers and sisters who are in this Western society. Moses, he's a guy from the Israelites. And the Israelites are people who believe in Allah. La ilaha illallah. They are the progeny of Jacob, Yaqub, and the progeny of Yusuf. So they have the Tawheed. They have the monotheism. Only one God worthy of worshiping. Moses was in that transformation inside the castle, inside the palace of the Pharaoh. What is going on there? You have a tyrant king. He say, Ana Rabbukum al-A'la. I am the one who is the highest Lord. That Egyptian Pharaoh, everybody obey him. That Egyptian Pharaoh, everybody follow his orders. And Moses, he is a worshipper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that regardless, or they're worshiping also statues and idols and all that stuff in these Egyptian old religions. So many religions, so many gods, so many whatever. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that the person who's going to gain the knowledge, the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the person who's going to get the reward, he is a person who stand against the current, stand against the mainstream, stand against what the people, the majority of the people follow. And he says, La ilaha illallah. And La ilaha illallah is entrenched in his heart. That's what Moses is doing. He's growing in a castle, in a Pharaoh, who number two people are discriminating against him. Because he still have a dark skin. He still looks like Israelite. They know the Israelites, it's very easy to recognize them. Because they don't mix that much with others. Like they don't, the reproduction or marriage or all that stuff, they don't mix. They marry from each other. So that's why they have their own physical characteristics. Constant and the same. So Moses was easily to be identified. He's not from the Egyptians. So there was discrimination against him. But he standed firm on his beliefs. He never succumbed to those attacks against him. And that's what it is. For every brother, for every Muslim brother and sister in the West, stand firm. Stand proud of your Islam. Stand proud of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Stand proud and start to show your identity. Start to have bravery. Be brave. Because you are on the truth. إِنَّكَ عَلَى الْحَقُّ الْمُبِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet Muhammad, you are on the absolute truth. فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّكَ عَلَى الْحَقِّ الْمُبِينِ. You are on absolute truth. Moses was on absolute truth. Moses shows, number two, sacrifices. Because Moses, that age when he was raised, it's the youth age, the years. And we see how the teenagers, how the youth, from 15 or 13 or 12 until the age of 21, 22, they lose the way. They do all kind of sins. They don't have boundaries. They lie to their fathers. They lie to their mothers. They disrespect their father, their mother. They disrespect everybody. And that's why we see a lot of youth get in trouble at that age. In jails, whatever it is, go and join gangs and all that stuff. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, because Moses, at that time, at that age, where it's easy for him to be swayed and go and do something against the will, against the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is rewarding him. And He make him after this as a prophet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have shown, because He preserved the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, Ihfazullah yahfazak. Preserve the right of Allah. Don't violate the rights of Allah. Allah will preserve you. And that is the same thing Moses have done. So he was, even when he was a youth, he never indulged. The temptations were easy. He's a guy who lives in the castle. He's in the palace of the Pharaoh. He has the connection. He has this. He never used this to disobey the King of the heavens and earth. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised him before even he became a prophet. And also tells us another very important notion, that these prophets, these messengers, before they become messengers and prophets, they are subjected to tests and trials and tribulations. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give them credit before He chooses them. Because anybody can come and say, oh, why Allah didn't make me a prophet? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, you will not be able to withstand whatever difficulty, whatever trials these prophets have been put through before even they become prophets. That's why they excelled initially. And that's why they gained after that. But initially they showed a person, before he does a PhD in physics, he has to show excellence in physics. Then big university, Princeton, or whatever, Ivy League university will accept him to do his PhD. Before then, if he's failing or getting a D or a C, he's not going to get there. So that's why these prophets excelled initially. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewarding them with the message. So we have to understand that we have to excel in obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in being strong within what? Within these societies we live in, where everything, with all the temptations, where everything become easy to do, with all kind of sins are available in front of you. Where are you gonna show? And the only place you can do this is by exchanging the time. The time you do bad things or the time you waste, come in obedience of Allah. Come to the mosque, the masjid, the place of Allah. In the morning, in the Fajr, show Him dedication. So show Allah devotion. Come in the Fajr prayer. Pray in the masjid. Come in the Isha prayer at night. Pray in the masjid. Show Him that you're sacrificing. 15, 20 minutes, half an hour drive is not a problem. You're gaining, your reward, Allah's counting, giving you reward, the reward, the reward, the reward. because he's showing devotion. And after this, your situation will change. Trust me. After you see showing Allah a little sacrifice, you see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَكَذَلِكَ نَجْدِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. This is how we compensate the good doers, the excellent doers. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this kind of environment, brothers and sisters, preserve the rights of Allah. Protect yourself. And you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is supporting you. And this is what happened. Then after this, tests and trials, even for these messengers and prophets, will continue. They didn't finish it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to mold that character, this personality. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to make it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to form it the way which can withstand. And that might be somewhere else, different state, different country, different place. And this is what happened to Musa. That his existence in Egypt at that time was not gonna prepare him for the big task of taking the Israelites from Egypt and travel with them in the desert. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have put that struggle, difficulty when he killed the Egyptian. Because he needed to go out. Out of where? Out of Egypt. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have a wisdom behind everything. And this is what we are learning in the Quran, to understand the wisdoms and how these Quran can affect our life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَدَخَلَ الْمَدِينَةَ عَلَى حِينَ غَفْلَةٍ مِّنْ أَهْلِهَا فَوَجَدَ فِيهَا رَجُلَيْنِ يَقْتَتِلَانِ. Then Moses, he was coming to the city. Say Manhattan. He lived, say example, he lived in Long Island and he's going traveling to Manhattan. And then he came. Everybody at that night, that time, like the midday time, afternoon, slow. Everybody is sleeping at that time because of the heat and all that stuff. يَقْتَتِلَانِ. He found two people are fighting. One from the Israelites and one from the Egyptians. وهذا من عدو فاستغاثه الذي من شيعته على الذي. So the one from the Israelites, he said, oh, he saw him, because that is also indication that you can recognize the Israelites from the Egyptian. So the guy, the Israeli guy, he told him, come Moses, save me, this guy is gonna kill me. Then Moses went. Number one, he did not assess the situation. The situation happened so quick. But Allah has a wisdom behind everything. So quick that Moses made the mistake and he made the judgment and he killed the Egyptian. And this is give us a very important lesson. Don't rush into judgment about anything. Just to contemplate, think about things before you rush to a judgment and to action. فَقَضَى عَلَيْهِ. Moses, he realized that after this action and he killed the Egyptian, this is something grave. He killed the guy. It happened so quick. And you see some kind of accidents happen at our time like that all the time. Two people are fighting over a parking spot. Somebody gets a gun and shoot the other person on the spot. So many stupid things like that happen. And this is because the whole idea is you have to take vaccines. Without vaccines, without, when you go to school, they tell you, oh, show me your vaccine list, your vaccination record. You go to college, show me your vaccination record. Okay, so within our life, within our daily basis, within our daily day, We have to take the vaccines. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have provided us with the vaccines. The vaccines, the number one vaccine is the 5 daily prayers. And the Fajr. And the Isha. The morning prayer. Early morning. And the last prayer. If you don't have work, you are must do them at the masjid, at the mosque. The mosques, the places of worship are empty. So at least these 2 prayers, you're not studying, you're not in school, you're not at work, in the masjid. These are the 5 daily vaccines, the 5 prayers. Then you have the adhkar, the supplications, the morning, the night. You have the remembrance of Allah throughout the day. This is when you get afflicted with something suddenly happen. Trust me, you're already vaccinated. You're not going to rush to judgment. You're not going to rush to an action to do anything. But the person who doesn't have this vaccination, he's easy target to who? The devil. It's the same thing. If you're not vaccinated, you're going to be able to get an easy access. You are an easy access to the bacteria, the viruses, and they will do whatever they want to do. And then you see people with the diseases because of that. They didn't take the vaccine, or the vaccine when they took when they were young was contaminated, was spoiled, whatever it is, was expired, whatever it is, so it didn't do the effect which it's supposed to do. And that's why the people are indulging. So the 5 daily prayers, the supplications, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have put those as vaccines. You have to maintain them specific time. And you see, even vaccination, it has a specific time. At the age of 2, at the age of 6 months, at the age of 3, you have to take these vaccines. Same thing. You cannot put all the prayers together at the end of the day. You cannot pray everything at home. It's not going to work. It's not going to do the effect. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is why Moses, it's easy access to, if you don't vaccinate yourself with these things, you're going to be access to the shaitan, the devil. He's going to do whatever he wants with you. He's going to take you as a paste, as a dough. He'll do whatever. One day you're watching porn. One day you're watching ladies, whatever. One day you're taking off your hijab. One day you are wearing provocative clothing. One day you're doing things you're not supposed to do. Another day you're lying. Another day you're cheating. That's what it is. Because he's an easy target. He'll do whatever he wants. But once you have that kind of connection with Allah, throughout the prayer, you take your vaccine, what's going to happen? You'll be protected. The devil will have hard time and he'll give up. You'll make the devil give up because you committed to the King and the heaven of the earth. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم.